back to TCAM Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Tracewell. Second episode, here we go. We are back. And, honestly, this is exciting. We're going to talk about the NFL today. There's been a lot of things that have happened over the past couple weeks. To highlight for today, Frank Reich has been fired from the Carolina Panthers. Frank Reich had a rough season, just got Bryce Young out of the draft, has a young team, really doesn't have much talent on this team, and to me, he got fired early. For Matt Rule to be the head coach the last couple years in Carolina, and then to hire Frank Reich this past offseason, and then to fire him after 11, 12 games, I don't see how any coach could win with this roster. How would you expect any team to actually be able to win with this roster? People talk about the DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans. Well, DeMeco Ryan just got a head coaching job, just like Frank Reich did. DeMeco Ryan just got a rookie quarterback. DeMeco Ryans has a lot of weapons on his team. C.J. Stroud has a lot of weapons around him, unlike Bryce Young. Bryce Young has Mingo, Thielen, Miles Sanders, Hubbard, while C.J. Stroud has Tank Dell, Noah Brown, Dameon Pierce, Devin Singletary, Dalton Schultz. These guys are really, really talented. These guys are talented. They are talented enough for them to win. Not only that, their defense is really good. DeMeco Ryans was the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator. What, you didn't think he was going to be any good? You didn't think he could coach defense? He got Will Anderson out of the draft. So, for Frank Reich, I think it's disappointing. I'd like to see at least one more season out of him. I know it was a bad season for the Carolina Panthers, and it's not been great for them since Bryce Young has kind of underperformed. But looking at really what talent they have, what did you Panthers fans expect? Did you expect them to be thrillers? Did you expect them to be great? That's exactly the problem. Why are we expecting them to be great? Eventually for David Tepper, you're going to have to hire a coach and stick with it. You can't go running from coach to coach anymore. And David Tepper, he's good. He's a good owner. And I know he's trying to do what's best for the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, and all the Carolina fans because they've been complaining about Frank Reich. I haven't had much problem with their offense. I think their offense is pretty decent. For what Bryce Young has to work with, I don't think it's as bad as we think it is. But it is what it is. He got fired. So that is a big story that is going on in the NFL. Another one is Matt Canada getting fired from the Steelers. Whew. It's about time. That was about time, really, for us Steelers fans. Matt Canada has been atrocious. He's awful. I think what makes me most disgusted about Matt Canada is you go on a podcast before the Houston Texans game and you say, we can't come back from big leads. What offensive coordinator in any margin of football at all says their offense can't come back from big leads? Now, what the Steelers proved on Sunday is the most impressive thing ever against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers have not had a 400-yard season in 58 games or 1,152 days since 2020 when Matt Canada became the offensive coordinator. Kenny Pickett, we questioned him. We didn't know how good he was. Maybe he's the problem, right? Najee Harris, he wasn't very good, right? A lot of Steelers fans question him too because he's slow. Now, how about that game against the Cincinnati Bengals? Kenny Pickett, 278 yards after Matt Canada gets fired. Najee Harris, 100 yards running on 15 carries and a touchdown. Pat Freiermuth returns, 9 receptions for 120 yards. Where's all this offense coming from? If Kenny Pickett was the problem, he wouldn't be throwing 278 yards worth of offense. George Pickens had 58 yards. Deontay Johnson had 50 yards. Overall, this team had 421 yards of offense. That's the most amount of offense since Matt Canada has came to Pittsburgh since he became the offensive coordinator for this team. Matt Canada was clearly not the guy. Now, we can't have 421 yards of offense and then collapse in the next couple weeks and go back to what we were. But this, for Steelers fans, a relief. It was a relief watching us play Cincinnati and how well our offense moved. Now, I know there was problems for the Steelers actually getting in the end zone. However, when you're working in a new system, I feel like going into it, it's going to be hard for any team to really, master it and get it down right. And I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers will be able to score a lot more points in the coming future once they're comfortable in this offense. But, man, just watching them play, they look comfortable. The defense looked confident because the offense looked good. The offense was playing well. Overall, it was a fun, awesome game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though Joe Burrow was not playing for the Cincinnati Bengals and Browning was. Who, by the way, Browning is not playing too bad for having to fill in. Had 227 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. So he's not doing too bad. He's got to do what he's going to do. But that offense with Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Irwin, Boyd, T. Higgins, these guys, I think anybody can make up a good amount of offense with those type of weapons. But for the Pittsburgh Steelers fans, this is a new chapter for us, and a chapter we most desperately needed. Now, it's crazy. Obviously, this is the holidays. Thanksgiving just went by us, and a lot of crazy games went on past this weekend outside the Steelers. There was a crazy Jags game in the Houston Texans. Jags split the series 1-1. The Saints, Derek Carr, 304 yards, an interception, cost them the game. The Saints are hard to really talk about, I think, because I think there's a little bit more issues than Derek Carr. I know a lot of people blaming Derek Carr, but when you're throwing over 300 yards in a football game, there's 2 things that I've noticed about the Saints. Their defense is iffy. Some weeks they're really good, and some weeks they don't play really well, and Derek Carr can't get the ball in the end zone. They have a problem with getting the ball in the end zone. They got to figure out how to fix that. Chiefs and Raiders, that was an interesting one. The Raiders started out hot. The Chiefs came back and put it to bed. So Chiefs exploding, trying to make a name, after a disappointing loss last week against the Eagles, or the previous weeks against the Eagles. They were looking to make a serious statement against the Raiders. The game of the day, the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. What an absolute thriller. The Eagles are something special. I mean, they really are. The Philadelphia Eagles are something special. Jalen Hurts, 18 of 31, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. DeAndre Swift is like a new running back coming from the Detroit Lions. Detroit let him go, got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery because DeAndre Swift wasn't proving himself. DeAndre Swift comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, a heavy run team, 14 carries, 80 yards. I mean, the guy is having a great season. And then the weapons that the Eagles just possess is absolutely insane. Devontae Smith has been a real tear in the Chiefs game, and he was in this Bills game. 7 receptions, 106 yards, and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts ran for 2 touchdowns, which was good because we have seen Jalen Hurts be injured since he played the New York Jets, and he struggled with the run game. His mobility is a big part of his game, and when you take that away, the Philadelphia Eagles are not the same team. To see him mobile and run for 65 yards and the game-winning touchdown run by him is special. The Eagles, when they're called upon to complete a challenge or to take on a challenge, they get it done. The Eagles don't shy away from pressure. They live on it. However, in this game, Josh Allen, he was nobody to sleep on. He was 29 of 51 for 339 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He also ran for 81 yards in this game and had 2 touchdowns. Gabe Davis had 105 yards. Diggs had 74 yards. James Cook had 57 yards. I mean, this team is special. The Buffalo Bills are special. They're 6-6 and they're 1-4 on the road. However, Josh Allen did everything in his power to win this game. If he'd have waited maybe one more second on that, and Dan Orlovsky pointed this out on ESPN's First Take today, if he would have waited just one more second, Josh Allen, to throw that ball to Gabe Davis, they probably would have hooked up and made that and won the game. However, though, Josh Allen had an incredible game. He played absolutely incredible. This was a thriller game. Buffalo took the lead early. The Eagles came back, and they won in OT. It was one of the best thrillers we've seen for a while. I mean, nothing was more competitive than that game. Going back and forth, back and forth. So it's nice to see. The Eagles are the real deal. Now they got to play the 49ers and the Cowboys in the next 2 weeks. So we're going to see what they're made of, against more challenging competition. But I think the Eagles will answer the call. I really think they're going to answer the call. Now, obviously, we all know who the good teams are, the bad teams. We know what teams are probably going to be making the playoffs and what are not, and which teams aren't. Ladies and gentlemen, the Denver Broncos are going to make the playoffs. Starting out 1-5 on the season, had a pretty decent offense, an awful defense. They gave up 70 points at the Dolphins. Starting out the season, they played the Raiders, they lost. They played the Commanders, they lost. They played the Dolphins, they lost. They won against the Bears, so they're 1-3. They lose to the Jets, and they lose to the Chiefs, so they're 1-5 going into October 12th. Since October 12th, they played the Packers, they won. They played the Chiefs again, they won. They played the Bills, who we just talked about the Bills playing the Eagles. We just talked about the Bills playing the Eagles. They won. They played the Vikings. They've won. They played the Browns without Deshaun Watson, but still, Browns have a top defense in the nation. And they won. They're going to go on to play the Houston Texans, the Chargers, the Lions, the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Raiders. Their only two hard games are going to be the Texans and the Lions. The Chargers aren't very good. The Patriots are bad. And the Raiders are going to fold like a wet noodle, honestly. The Raiders, when the pressure's on them, they don't show up. Why can't this team make the playoffs? Russell Wilson has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL sit on his 5-game winning streak. He's been absolutely electric. They're fun to watch. And here's the thing. They're getting things done the way Sean Payton planned to. Sean Payton didn't bring back the crazy Russ who ran around the field and, did all these electrical miracle plays that we were used to seeing in Seattle. He brought a great version of Russ back. One who's throwing 20 touchdowns this season and 4 interceptions. One that is thrown 2,200 yards this year. He's averaging 7 yards per throw. And per game, he's averaging 200 yards. Russell Wilson, at the end of the day, is playing good football. He's 68% completion rate. Russell Wilson's playing good ball. Javonte Williams came back from the ACL tear. He's showing up. P. Ryan is playing better. Cortland Sutton has been playing better. Jerry Jeudy has played better. Mims is even playing decent. The Denver Broncos can make the playoffs. And they will make the playoffs. Because if you're looking around the board in the AFC, in the East, the Dolphins will make the playoffs. The Bills have potential to make playoffs depending on their schedule and how it's going to really round up here. Their ending schedule is the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Dolphins. 3 of those games they possibly could lose. They could lose 3 and Denver could lose 2. And the Bills are 6-6. In the AFC North, Baltimore's going to make playoffs, possibly win the entire AFC, be the top. Pittsburgh has a chance with Matt Canada being gone. They have a chance to actually make some noise on the offense and maybe be able to sneak into the playoffs. I'm not too sure whether they can. However, they're going to play the Cardinals and the Patriots. Those are 2 winnable games. They play the Colts. That's a winnable game. Bengals again. That's winnable. Seahawks, that's definitely a tougher game, and the Ravens is a tougher game. So 3, possibly 4. They might split with the Bengals, but possibly 4 of those games they could win and sneak into the playoffs. Jacksonville is going to make the playoffs. The Colts are the ones sitting in second. They are 6-5. They are tied with the Houston Texans. The Colts ending their season: Titans, Bengals, Steelers, Falcons, Raiders, Texans. Titans is always a tough game. Divisional matchups are always tough. Bengals, maybe. Steelers, like I said, I think the Steelers will win, but it could be an upset. Falcons are a tough team, even though they are 5-6 at the moment. They still can make noise. Clearly, they did against the Saints. Raiders, I think they'll beat the Raiders, and they play the Texans at the end of the season. Maybe that's the decision maker for both teams. For the Texans and the Colts, for them to make playoffs. Broncos, Jets, Titans, Browns, Titans, and Colts. That's who the Texans have to play. They have potential to get in there, but I don't think it's as easy for the Colts or the Texans as it's going to be for the Denver Broncos. Because Kansas City is going to win their division. And Denver is going to fall into that wild card spot. With how they are looking and the way they've played, they are the only team outside of the Philadelphia Eagles to have a 5-game winning streak going on right now. Now everybody says, well, they got to lose eventually. Maybe. But their schedule's easy. 2 games, maybe. 2 games, possibly 3, I would say. But 2 games they could lose, and the rest they could win. So, Denver really has a chance to win out here. They really do. They have a chance. So, I like Denver. They're going to make the playoffs. Going into the NFC, Minnesota with Joshua Dobbs, Kirk Cousins, they're going to bring him back. Maybe, maybe not. Jordan Love played great on Thanksgiving. That was exciting. That's probably the best we've seen Jordan Love play a football team at all. The guy was actually great against the Lions. The Lions almost came back and won it. They made mistakes, though. The Lions definitely made some mistakes. Jared Goff could have played better throughout this game. He threw for 332 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Montgomery had a touchdown with 71 yards. Jameer had 54 yards. St. Brown had 95 yards. Khalil Raymond had 90 yards. Jameson Williams had 51 yards. But Jared Goff also fumbled the ball 3 times. And he lost it all 3 times. So he as well as he played, he also cost him the game. Jordan Love, however, like I just said, he threw 268 yards in this game and 3 touchdowns. He probably had one of the best games of the year. Christian Watson, he had his best game, 94 yards and a touchdown. The Packers, they're sitting 5-6. They're not that bad of a team. Everybody looks at the Packers and goes, the Packers aren't good. Aaron Rodgers ain't there. They're not that good. They're 5-6. The Vikings are 6-5, and the Detroit Lions are 8-3. They could potentially sneak in somewhere. I think they have a chance because if Minnesota falls off, the Saints fall off. Seattle, they'll maybe stick around, and then you have the Dallas Cowboys. So yeah, the Green Bay Packers could make playoffs. They could push and have potential to make playoffs. I'd be very surprised, but the Green Bay Packers could make noise. Either way, it's been interesting overall. It has been. It's been a real crazy NFL season. I can't believe we're in Week 13 already. I guess I'll break down some of the Week 13 just real quick. Thursday, night football, Seattle and the Cowboys. I'm going to pick Cowboys. I like Seattle. I like Geno Smith, West Virginia guy, obviously. But their defense is not good enough to hang around with Dallas's offense, and Dallas's defense is way too good. They're one of the top defenses in the country, so Dallas is going to get away, and they are going to take that game and go 9-3. The Cardinals play the Steelers. Steelers, I think, win. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray is back, but it's not made much difference for them, and they don't have any weapons. So I think the Steelers are going to take that game. Chargers and Patriots. Patriots, man, they've been awful. 2-9. They don't score the ball. Mac Jones doesn't look good. Bill Belichick's on the verge of losing his job. I mean, the Patriots have been in shambles, and I thought bringing in Bill O'Brien for the offense coordinator this year would make a huge difference. They've gotten even worse. I can't believe it. I thought the Patriots be better, and I don't like the Chargers defense, but I gotta go Chargers here. Justin Herbert's better than Mac Jones, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen. I gotta pick the Chargers against the Patriots. Colts and Titans, division rival game, always competitive, always close. Will Levis, the new starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, 4-7. Possibly a couple games they should have won, but it is what it is. They are at 4-7. The Colts, 6-5. Surprisingly, without Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew kind of leading the way. He's had 1,900 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. However, he is the backup, so what are we supposed to expect? At least he's keeping a good winning percentage for this team. They're 4-1 on the road. I mean, so the Tennessee Titans are 4-1 at home too. So this is going to be a complete competitive matchup. It's going to be a beatdown between these two teams. It's going to be a dogfight. Zach Moss has been good. Jonathan Taylor got his money. We're waiting on him. We want to see Jonathan Taylor pop off. Michael Pittman Jr.'s had a good year. DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver for the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be a competitive game. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. Broncos and Texans. This is probably our 1 o'clock thriller of the week. I just talked big time how the Texans can make the playoffs. The Broncos can make the playoffs. The Texans coming off a devastating loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Didn't really end the way they wanted it to. The Broncos been on a 5-game winning streak. They're on the road. They're 2-2 on the road. Houston is 4-2 at home. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. I'm going to keep riding with Russell Wilson. This defense has gotten a lot better. This defense is not the same defense in the first 5 games for the Denver Broncos. They've been absolutely thriller. They're holding everybody down. They're keeping the points low. The Houston Texans, while C.J. Stroud is ultra-talented and this defense is not too shabby, I don't think they're going to beat an experienced Denver Broncos team. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way because the Houston Texans are experienced. They have some talent, and obviously they have a lot better talent than the Denver Broncos. However, I think the Denver Broncos are on a mission just to prove to everybody that this team isn't trash. This is not, they basically are now, this is how the season was supposed to be, not how it started. Sean Payton's done a heck of a job. And the experience Sean Payton brings to the game, I trust. I like DeMeco Ryans, but give me Denver. I want to, Broncos country, let's ride. Lions and Saints. Lions. Saints defense has been not that great, and Derek Carr, while he's been playing good, it's not making a difference. And the Lions, after our bad loss to the Green Bay Packers, I think bounce back and go 9-3. The Falcons and the Jets are next. This is kind of a mess, really. I mean, the Jets, I want the Jets to succeed. However, Zach Wilson, he's not been that great this year. Breece Hall has not been that great. And Garrett Wilson's their best receiver, and they don't use him enough. I'm going to roll with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Riddler. I think the Falcons get a win here, even though the Falcons are 1-4 away and the Jets are 2-4 at home. I think the Falcons get a road win here and go 6-6. Dolphins and Commanders. Dolphins. Commanders aren't that good of a team. They've been struggling. Sam Howell, however, Howell's played a good year. He's had a good year. His interceptions are high, but he's thrown 3,339 yards, 18 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Tua has 3,100 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 10 picks. Tyreek Hill, the best receiver in football, has 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns, while Terry McLaurin's their best receiver, has 694 yards and 2 touchdowns. Give me the Miami Dolphins. I think they are the better team, and Miami is going to blow ride. They pretty much beat any team that doesn't have a winning record. So give me the Miami Dolphins. The Panthers and the Bucks. The Bucks, obviously. The Panthers just lost their head coach. Don't see how they're going to make up much offense. And, yeah, I'm going to ride with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. The Browns and the Rams. Matt Stafford, I'm going to roll with him. I like the Browns' defense. I think the Browns' defense is really good. However, I don't think because of their offense that Matt Stafford's going to get away with it. Matt Stafford is going to win that game. I don't think they're going to be able to stop and hold on the whole game against Matt Stafford and the electrifying offense of the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams can put up points. They can move the ball down the field in Sean McVay's offense. Even though the Rams are 5-6 and the Browns are 7-4, I don't think DTR or PJ Walker really gets the job done for this team. Our Sunday night special game is the Chiefs and the Packers. Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes. You gotta ride with Patrick Mahomes until proven otherwise by Jordan Love. I know Jordan Love had a great game on Thanksgiving, but that doesn't mean for all the bad games that he's had. One good game doesn't add up to all the bad games he's played. You've got to rely on Patrick Mahomes. You know what Patrick Mahomes is made of. Pacheco's had a good season for the Kansas City Chiefs overall. Travis Kelce, he's a Hall of Fame tight end. 732 yards and 5 touchdowns this season, and he's their leading receiver. I think the only thing that worries me about the Kansas City Chiefs is their receiving core. Hardman, then you got Sky Watson, and a couple of these guys, but you don't have any big names. You don't have anybody that really shocks you. They're not that great on the outside. They got Travis Kelce, but that's really it. They're relying a lot on this defense this year, which their defense has been pretty stout this year. They have a pretty decent defense. You're gonna have to roll the Chiefs against the Packers. I'm gonna have to roll the Chiefs. They're the better team. The Monday night game is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. Jacksonville, no Joe Burrow. Jake Browning is, as well as he has been playing, and they can make up some offense with this team. Their defense isn't going to be able to hold up with Trevor Lawrence and how the way Jacksonville has been playing. Jacksonville's been on a tear since the start of the season. They are 8-3. They started off the season rough. Now they are finally together and moving the ball, and they look really, really good this year, and they're going to be a top contender in the AFC heading into the final weeks. I think I waited for this highlight game last because this should be the Sunday night game. Really, this should be the Sunday night game, but I'm okay that it's a 4 o'clock game. It's the San Francisco 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This is our game of the week right here. This is the game of the week. Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle versus A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. It's going to be an absolute electrifying matchup. 2 defenses who are willing to prove themselves. 2 offenses that are willing to prove themselves. Brock Purdy, 2,800 yards on the season, 19 touchdowns and 6 picks. Jalen Hurts, 2,600 yards, 18 touchdowns and 10 picks. This is going to be fun. This is going to be the biggest question mark. These are the 2 teams, I believe, that will be battling for the NFC Championship game this year. The Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. No disrespect to the Lions or the Cowboys. The Lions are young. They will continue to get more experience, but really jumping into their first playoff run this year, they're just young. They're too young for me. The Dallas Cowboys, they play any team that has pretty much a great winning record. I don't really see them winning. I want Dallas to win, but they can't beat the 49ers, and they haven't beaten the Eagles as of recent. So they might here in the next 2 weeks. They might beat the Eagles. However, they haven't proved it yet. So this is the NFC Championship game right here. This is a preview of really what we're going to get to see. This is exciting because Brock Purdy didn't play last year in the NFC Championship game. He got hurt. All their quarterbacks got hurt. They had 4 quarterbacks in a season for the San Francisco 49ers got hurt. You had Christian McCaffrey snapping the ball at one point. So now we're going to get the real matchup. We're going to get these 2 tough offenses, these 2 tough defenses, and we're going to see what they can do against each other. And I'm so excited because Philadelphia has been on a tear. Philadelphia, 10-1, they've been on a tear. They're the best team in the National Football League. But the San Francisco 49ers are in that discussion too. They're right there with everybody else. They are probably, if not tied with the Eagles for the best team in the National Football League, or the second. Not based off record, but based off the way they play. The way they play is special. For this game, I know a lot of people are going to be rolling with the Eagles. It's a home game for the Eagles. They just came off a home game against the Bills and played spectacular. I'm going to roll the San Francisco 49ers. I think the San Francisco 49ers, out of every team in the National Football League, they're out to prove something. They're out to prove that if they had a quarterback last year, they're in the Super Bowl. They could possibly win the Super Bowl. They beat the Chiefs. That's their thought process. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles to get there. So they're going to go in this game, and I think Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, he's going to draw up something fun against this team. He's going to give it everything he's got. He ain't going to show them the whole playbook because he's going to save that for the playoffs. However, he's going to put on something. He's going to have these guys put on something special. 49ers come away with a win. I think the San Francisco 49ers win this game, and I don't think there's much discussion there. That is Week 13. We're just going to recap Week 13. And it's been a crazy NFL season. We got a couple more weeks to go. Then we're going to be in the wild card. A lot more crazy games coming up. But Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm glad Matt Canada's gone. It's going to be fun to watch football now. Going to be an awesome week this upcoming week. Going to be a lot of fun football to talk about. This is just an opening NFL episode. Want to talk about a couple teams. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys.